Hey guys, it is finally time to start putting things in this van rather than taking them out. The last few days I've stripped off the plywood panels on the sides, and there was also some like corrugated carpet pads on the lower panels in front of where all the electrics and stuff are that were behind the plywood. I've took those off as well, and it's also been washed down with soapy water and wiped down with a cloth. It's now afternoon. The washing was done yesterday, so it's had plenty of time to kind of dry, although the roof was very wet this morning. It was very frosty and we had a lot of condensation on this roof, so I'm going to have to watch for that before, kind of be aware of that as I'm doing the other jobs that are in here. That condensation is still going to condensate on that roof until it is insulated, and I don't want it dripping on anything that's on the floor, which might be an issue in the morning because today, well this afternoon, I intend to do some painting. So I picked up this tin of metal paint in town from Highland Industrial Supplies. It is a Rust-Oleum paint. It is combi colour, but I mean there's loads of different types of metal paints that you can get. This one is a combination primer and top coat, so I only need to do one coat of this, and I accidentally picked up light grey instead of white because in the fluorescent lights in the warehouse this looked white, but I don't think it's really going to matter. So what I plan on doing is on the ceiling and the walls, wherever there is bare exposed metal or rusty spots appearing, then I will daub some of this paint on those bits. I'm not painting the whole lot, but the floor I will be painting the whole lot, and probably, I don't know, an inch or two up the sides and the wheel arches, just with the one coat. All I'm using is an old paintbrush that doesn't matter if it gets ruined on the raw edges of the metal, and hopefully this won't take me too long because it is quite cold today. I've just remembered I need to put some cardboard in here to kneel on whilst I'm doing the sides and the walls, because kneeling on this corrugated floor is uncomfortable without wearing knee pads. So yes, that's today's job, and I think I have some of my sound deadening fabric arriving tomorrow in the post, so hopefully I can get that done soon in the next few days too. For a van this age, it's not actually that bad. When I was looking at vans, like this particular, the Nissan NV200, they were all sort of like the same age for the price range I was looking at, and most of them were complete rust buckets. They were either just about falling apart or inside had really been beaten up. This one had I can't remember if it was just one previous owner or maybe two, but the guy had been a plumber, I think, and most of the vans were pretty beat up inside, but this one came real neat, and the cab inside is in really good condition. Most of the driver's seats, the side kind of collapses from getting in and out because they are used a lot for courier vans as well, so the seat on one side tends to get quite damaged. This one isn't, it's still almost new, and the inside of the cab was just really clean. The only thing I'm really finding is the dog hair, because he had a little dog and he would have the little dog ride in the van with them obviously sometimes, and it doesn't matter how, you couldn't see any dog hair in here when it was bought, because it was valeted, but as soon as you start taking panels off and what have you, dust and hair, cat hair is the same, gets everywhere. Anywhere there's a draft that can suck into the panels and stuff, it's all in there, and which kind of goes to show that no matter how sealed you think a vehicle is, it isn't really. Air will go where it can go, and moisture therefore can kind of get where it wants to go. We've been looking at the door panels and the back panels. You can kind of see daylight down through the bottom where all the mechanisms and stuff are, where there's little bits of corrosion, so air can get in and damp can get in, and that's one of the reasons I'm not putting a vapour barrier. But again, we're not talking about that just now, but dust and hair and muck gets everywhere. But fortunately, this is, other than the dog hair, this isn't too bad. And although obviously we've got some scuffs in places where things have gone in the van and bashed around and moved things around, it's not too bad, and it's definitely one of the better ones that I came across. In fact, it was probably the best of all of them of this year that I found, because like trades vans, they just get bashed about. It's just part of that sort of job. I stored the paint inside for all of today. It was in the car overnight, and you can tell it's cold out here because the paint is starting to thicken up as I put it on now. It got down to -2 Celsius last night, which Fahrenheit I think is maybe about, I don't know, 36, 35. Once it gets below 37 I can't convert it, but it was cold, and the metal work is very cold. It's only around 4 degrees Celsius here today, so I don't know, that's what, 38, no, double it and add 30, so I know about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So my paint is thickening up and it's getting harder to apply. It'll go on, it's going to go on thicker and it's going to take longer to dry, but I don't plan on working on this tomorrow, so it should be fine. The hardest part now is keeping the cat out of here whilst I paint this floor. She's in the yard and she appears out of nowhere and just jumps in, so hopefully I can get this done and the door's closed before we have a kitty paw incident. So I've just got this tail end where I'm sitting left to finish, and it's gone on quite quickly actually. Have I done all the prep work I could have done and done a better job? No. I could have wire brushed it and I could have wire wooled around the rusty spots, and I haven't bothered, and there's a couple of reasons. First of all, she's an older vehicle, so if she'd been younger perhaps I would have put more work in, but I don't know how many years that she's going to last me. But also because of our location, we live on an island, a very exposed island, with steel up here rots really quickly. You're fighting a losing battle, so you're going to get rust, you're going to get corrosion very quickly up here. It's a combination of the salt air. We're only probably 2 miles from the sea, and we get strong winds, and after our windows get completely covered in salt here, and like I said, we're a couple of miles from the sea, but the air is so salty and the air is so humid here as well. We basically have 2 seasons on the Orkney Islands. We have a very long, wet, windy winter, which runs from about August, middle of August to the middle of May, and then we have a very late spring that lasts 3 months. and it doesn't usually get above 20 degrees Celsius, so 70 Fahrenheit. If it gets above 20, it's scorchio. It is super hot, and everyone's complaining about being too hot. But other than June, which is the only dry month we have, even either side of that, like May, July, is humid. We have more problems with damp in the house in the summer months when we have no central heating on than we do in the winter months. So we have high humidity, a lot of salt, and a lot of scouring winds. So you are fighting a losing battle with the corrosion with steel. So at least this gives a bit of a helping hand, and with putting insulation on the floor and things like that, it will help with condensation, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I won't be living in her, so there isn't as much moisture being produced inside as well. So I'm just going to finish up this last couple of feet of the floor. This cardboard I'm sitting on is very creaky, so I apologise for that. And that's me done for today. And then go get all this paint cleaned off my hands. I'm assuming I need to use terps or white spirits to get this off, because it feels like an oil-based paint. It smells like an oil-based paint. I'm glad I'm not painting this in the house. It's pretty stinky. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I'll show you what she looks like before I close her up for the day.